Bradley the Bulldog Johnson here, ready to talk about Gennady Golovkin. He's come to terms with Vanes Martirosyan. Um, as soon as this fight was officially announced, I look on the social media, and of course, people are coming out talking about Gennady Golovkin is cherry picking. So, I'm a Gennady Golovkin fan. I enjoy watching his fights. And at first, you think, you know, there's people that are just, hating. Yet, you can't be too offended by them saying he's cherry picking, because at the end of the day, I think it is a cherry pick. To be quite honest, it's a cherry pick. And I don't like using those terms. I don't like using terms like fighters are ducking people or, they're running, they don't want to see this person, they're cherry picking, they're fighting a bomb. All those terms are just really not well thought out. At the end of the day, I will use the term cherry pick for this, but it's not Golovkin's fault. Okay, Golovkin will fight whoever. I think when you look at a lot of these boxing forums, people are not necessarily casual, meaning they know they're boxing, but they're more just they're not well thought out. They're not well thought out. They're kind of just haters. Like they pick a guy and choose decide I don't like him. There's people out here talking junk about Golovkin or Wilder or Joshua or Lomachenko and saying, oh, they're not that good. They're average. We've seen this before. I mean, it's a bunch of bullshit. Of course, we've seen it before as far as we've seen great boxers before. But to sit here and say, Golovkin's just an average fighter, he's basic, you're full of shit. I mean, come on. Now, what I will say where the cherry pick comes from is from his management, meaning they handpicked this guy clearly for Golovkin to beat. It doesn't mean Golovkin can't lose the fight, because once you get in the ring, anything can happen. Vanes is 36-3, 21 KOs. Another thing about him, he's never been knocked out. He fought Charlo, who we all know could punch. You couldn't stop him. He lost to Laura also. Laura's not necessarily a huge puncher, but a slick boxer. And he lost to Demetrius Andrade. And he survived all fights. All of them were fairly decent fights. Let's see what the score was. It's not showing me the points on here, but I mean, a split decision to Demetrius. And unanimous decision to losses to Charlo and Lara. At the end of the day, again, Golovkin will fight whoever you put in front of him. That's the mentality of fighters. When people are out here saying, oh, they don't want this or they don't want that problem, that's very rare. These guys are straight fighters. They're there to fight. Now they have promotion, and they also have a team behind them. Their team is their business. The promoters and the managers are about business. So at the end of the day, yes, this is a fight that in all ways, shape, or form, Gennady Golovkin should go in there and win the fight fairly easily and possibly stop him, especially since he's been inactive for 2 years now. So he has a good chance of stopping him. But this is on management. This is not on Golovkin. Management is setting him up for a payday. Whether it be the Alvarez rematch in September or another big name in the fall. Gennady Golovkin is 36 years old. He's not getting any younger. Some people think he started slipping at the time of the Jacobs fight. In the last 2 fights, they feel like he may not be the exact same Golovkin that we've seen in the beginning. I think he may still be the same Golovkin for the most part. He's just stepped up to the absolute elite competition. These are the best out there. You're not going to blow out the best. Danny Jacobs, I think, will prove that he's one of the best middleweights in the world if he hasn't already proved it. And he gave Golovkin a good fight. There's no shame in that. Canelo Alvarez most likely was on steroids the first fight. Even with or without the steroids, Canelo is an elite fighter. And he gave Golovkin a fairly tough match. I had Golovkin winning 8-4, though. It never should have been a draw. So he's going against still some of the top guys. It's going to be more difficult. You're not going to knock everyone out. And I think we'll see over the next year or two, if Golovkin, may just have a few more, big money fights, and that may be it, you're going to see Danny Jacobs have a chance to take over the division. I give Jacobs the edge over Charlo right now, and therefore, who else do you have? Um, Possibly Derenchenko. I understand he may be a big puncher. He's only 12-0 right now, though, so I haven't seen enough of him. 12-0, 10 KOs. Alvarez will be back in the mix. He's going to have to clean it up, though. They're going to be, very stringent on the testing, and he's not going to be able to cut any corners this time. But I think he'll be one of the top guys in the division for years to come. So at the end of the day, what this comes down to, this is a management decision. Management does not want to take the chance of screwing up a big payday. And let's not forget, they had very little time to negotiate it. So a guy like Demetrius, do you really think he's going to take the chance of, blowing a big payday and not have time to negotiate, his end? They may have threw an offer at him that he wasn't happy with, and now you got to go through that negotiation stage. Yeah, he probably wants that fight, but that's a big fight for him, and if he loses, that may knock him back a notch. Spike O'Sullivan didn't feel it was worth it at this time, so he's going to fight the night before, and he's probably going to fight, I think it's still to be announced, so it's most likely a no-name at this point. If you're this close and you still don't have a name, these other guys, they also don't want to take those chances. They don't want to take the chance of putting another L on the record or the first L on the record to fight Golovkin if the money isn't right and it doesn't make sense, at the training camp. Billy Joe Saunders is injured. Charlo has a fight coming up. Okay? Jacobs has a fight coming up. That's probably a lot of promotional and management issues for them to pull out of their fight last minute. Charlo, I suppose, is possible because he's not headlining our card. But Jacobs is headlining the card on April 28th. I've got to imagine that would be a big deal to pull out of that and shut that venue down and shut that everything that's went into that already down. So I don't think Jacobs was a viable option. I don't think Charlo was really an option because you've got to let that fight marinate a little bit. I'd love to see Golovkin and Charlo, but you got to give that a few months because they're going to be talking a hell of a lot of junk. Charlo is. And that's going to be fun to watch and let it build. I don't want to watch that build for 2 weeks. I want to watch that build. So at the end of the day, not happy at all. As a Golovkin fan, I enjoy the middleweight division. And I did not want to see this fight. It's garbage. It's hard for us to get excited at all. At the level Golovkin's at, you want to see the big fights. You want to see the exciting fights. You want to see him, really, print his name on the middleweight division. And he's going to end up doing that right now by surpassing Bernard Hopkins' title defense record. And he's going to do it against Martirosyan. And we may not want that, but hey, they're going to go ahead and take that fight, get the record, set up a big money fight. And Golovkin there's a good chance he's on his last couple fights. I'd love for him to go to the super middleweight division and fight Ramirez. I think that's a fight that has to happen for Golovkin because I think he can win that fight. And I think he should go up to super middleweight and just kind of prove the haters wrong and go up and do it, but he's under the restrictions of management promotion now because he's a money fighter. It's hard to become a money fighter in boxing. There's only so many of them. De La Hoya passed the torch to Mayweather. Manny Pacquiao was a money fighter, and he's having trouble now pulling what he was because he isn't what he was. And he's concentrated on politics. Alvarez is the new big money fighter, but Golovkin can get a part of that. Anthony Joshua was a money fighter. Deontay Wilder is getting there, and it will help if he goes out and he beats Anthony Joshua. You've got guys like Lomachenko that'll probably fill a stadium. He's fighting in Madison Square Garden on the 12th. We'll see. I know I'll be there. I know tickets are not sold out. But, guys like that are getting there. So you have, again, you have the Joshuas and the Alvarez and, a Lomachenko, a Gennady Golovkin, who's steady. Now, Golovkin isn't doing the numbers Alvarez is doing, but he's steadily selling out stadiums. I mean, he sold out Madison Square Garden both times I was there. Once versus Lemieux, and the other time versus Jacobs. So you've got guys that get in that position, and once you're in that position, it no longer becomes just about the belts or just about fighting a big name. I mean, now they are headlining an entertainment product, and that's what they're doing. So yes, definitely disappointed. I would have much rather him pick a big name. He is in full training camp. He shouldn't have any excuses, and I don't think he does. I wish management felt the same way and his promotion felt the same way and say, hey, Gennady Golovkin's ready. He is Golovkin. Let's put him in there with at least a decent name. Let's find somebody that'll be interesting. I don't think the fans have an interest in this particular fight because it's a foregone conclusion. Golovkin's going to go in. He's going to whoop his ass. And then we're going to set up a big fight in September against probably Alvarez. But if not, I'd like to see it against Charlo or Billy Joe Saunders. But besides that's it. They better have a great undercard. I guess the only other saving grace is this doesn't look like it's going to be pay-per-view. I heard it's going to be just regular HBO. So that should help a little. At least you'll have a reason to tune in. If you have HBO already, you won't have to pay for anything. But that's my take on it. The cherry pick was done by management. It's not Golovkin's fault. But hey, it is what it is. Hey, don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, talk to me.